So today we are going to switch things up and actually look at the most expensive items in Classic WoW. I thought this would be a fun video to make, and I also thought it would actually be fun to see why gold is actually so important in Classic, and just see what people actually need so much gold for. Obviously, raiding in Classic requires a ton of consumables, but there are many other expensive items as well when you look away from consumables. So in this video I will show you what I think is the 10 most expensive items in Classic WoW. Number 10 is the Eye of Shadow. The Eye of Shadow is one of the parts required for the legendary priest quest called the Balance of Light and Shadow, which is the quest where priests obtain their benediction and anathema staff. The Eye of Shadow can drop from the world boss Kazak, in addition to elite demons south in Winterspring, as well as elite demons in the southwestern part of Blasted Lands. So in order to obtain this item, you either need to be killing world bosses regularly, or be able to solo elite level 60 mobs, or you need to have the gold to be able to buy it from others who are farming for this item, which is why it's usually pretty expensive. Number 9 is the Cloudkeeper leg plate. These are pretty good leg plates for warriors and retribution paladins, if they even exist, and they're pretty much the best bound on equip pants you can obtain until Titanic Leggings. They also have a pretty interesting on-use effect, as it grants you 100 attack power for 30 seconds, but it also has a 15-minute cooldown. Could be very good pants to use on a really short boss if you're looking to top those DPS meters, and they also have pretty good stats with 20 strength, 20 stamina and 20 agility. Number 8 is the Freezing Band. This is arguably the best in slot ring for mages for PvP specifically. It could also have a benefit in an Naxxramas as it provides 10 frost resistance, and it does also increase your damage by a fair bit. But the most important, and I think the most interesting thing about this ring, is the equip effect it has, which is a 1% chance of freezing any attacker. That's it, just equip this ring and there's a 1% chance that whenever anyone's hitting you, they'll get frozen for a while, and then you can just DPS them down. It's a very handy ring to have. Number 7 is the Hand of Edward the Odd. This item has a 2% chance of proccing a buff that will make your next spell an instant cast, and the funny thing is that this can be used on Hearthstone and other fun mechanics, making it a really fun weapon to use, but again it's only a 2% proc from melee hits, and it makes your next spell instant cast, so it requires spellcasters to actually go in and melee hit to obtain this proc. Still is a pretty expensive item simply because of this proc. It could be really useful for holy paladins that would melee weave on longer boss fights to utilize the Seal of Wisdom, but let's face it, classic bosses aren't alive long enough for this weapon to be useful in raids that way. Number 6 is the Pendulum of Doom. This is actually one of the rarest items in Classic WoW, and even in Retail WoW as well, this item is very rare. You see, this item only drops from certain mobs inside Uldaman, and it has a 0.02% drop chance from those mobs, making it a really rare drop from a dungeon that people don't really spend a lot of time in anyway, making this item very unique. It dropped from, for example, Scarlet Monastery or Moradin, where mages are constantly selling dungeon boosts, and killing tons of mobs. This item could have been worth a lot less than it currently is. As for the actual use for this item, it's pretty limited since it's a level 39 item, but it is the best in slot item for level 39 twinks, especially for warriors, paladins and enhancement shamans. Shamans with this weapon are lethal with their Wind Fury procs, and the level 39 bracket is also a fairly popular bracket to twink in, because you don't have your mount yet, but you still have most of your class abilities, and you have a lot of skills and talent points to play around with to build your twink the way you want. Number 5 is Forer's Compendium of Dragon Slaying. This is the item you need to obtain in order to obtain the sword called Koala Cerrar, which is a pretty fancy tanking weapon that can proc a defense and armor proc upon hitting a target, which again makes it perfect for tanking. It also looks pretty freaking good, which adds to its value. 13 defense is also a huge proc, and it's arguably the most important stat for any tank in Classic WoW to have, so the proc is definitely not bad. Number 4 is the Lionheart Helmet and Titanic Leggings. Both of these are pretty much the best in slot for warriors throughout all of Classic, with the slight exception of some warriors probably arguing that you can obtain better leggings in Naxxramas. Both of these require a specific recipe to that craft, which you need to obtain first, and then you need 300 blacksmithing to learn the recipe, and then you need a ton of materials to craft each item. More specifically, you need 12 Arcanite bars for each craft, as well as 2 flasks of the Titan, in addition to that to craft the Titanic Leggings. There are other materials needed as well, but instead of me listing every single one, you can just read them for yourself on the screen. These are both very good items to make and use, or make and sell for profit, as people in need of these items are usually happy to pay a crafter's fee for someone to craft it for them. Number 3 is Teebu's Blazing Longsword. This is a pretty good sword for melee DPS, not the best sword out there, but it's pretty good. But I think what's truly amazing about this sword is its unique appearance, appearing to be a fiery lightsaber sword, which looks truly amazing, and it kinda gives you a status symbol in the game, and let's be honest, who doesn't want a fiery lightsaber? This item was also worn by a legendary dwarf back in the day, and is one of the first, if not the first epic to ever be obtained in Classic WoW, and the picture of that dwarf wearing it has become a legend in Vanilla's history, which is also a possible reason why it sells for as much as it does. Number 2 is Edgemaster's Handguards. This is one of the most overpowered items you can obtain in Classic WoW. It might not look too impressive since it doesn't really have any stats. There's no strength, no stamina, no crit, no hit, no anything really. But it does increase your skill in pretty much any weapon you're going to use, especially as a warrior. It increases the skill of axes, swords and daggers by 7, which is a huge bonus to your weapon skill. Whenever you're fighting a raid boss that's a significantly higher level than you are, that boss is going to have a significantly higher defense value than you have weapon skill value, so anything you can utilize to make that gap smaller will increase your DPS, and will also lower the chance of you missing a hit on the target, which again increases your DPS. Basically, it's a DPS increase and a big one as well. If you obtain these handguards, you're pretty much set for the rest of Classic, as they're arguably best in slot for the entirety of Classic WoW. Number 1 is the Sulfuron Hammer. Crafting this item requires a ton of materials, and expensive materials as well. Basically, to craft this hammer, you need 8 Sulfuron ingots, 20 dark iron bars, 50 arcanite bars, 25 essences of fire, 10 blood of the mountain, 10 lava cores, and 10 fiery cores. This is a lot of materials, and especially the Sulfuron ingots and arcanite bars will end up costing you several thousand gold, which is a lot when you consider this is Classic. It is however used to make the legendary Hand of Ragnaros when combined with the Eye of Sulfuras, so I guess it kinda makes sense that this is an expensive item to craft, since you can pretty much turn it into a legendary item. Not the best legendary item in the game, but it's still a legendary, and in Classic, legendaries are legendaries. We also have a couple of honorable mentions that I decided not to put in the top 10, but I figured I'd mention them in this video anyway. Beast's Deck. This is used to obtain the item Darkmoon Card Blue Dragon, which is a very good item, especially for healers struggling with mana issues, or just healers in general. And the Ace of Beasts only drops from the beast in Upper Blackrock Spire, which is another reason why this deck is so expensive, because the Ace is pretty difficult to obtain. Mature Blue Dragon Sinew. This is a rare item dropped by the Blue Dragon Flight in Winterspring, as well as it can drop from the world boss Asurgos, which is the Blue Dragon Flight world boss, so basically it drops from blue dragons. This item is needed by hunters to obtain their 18-slot quiver through the Ancient Leaf quest. This is the best quiver for any hunter to have in Classic, so this item will be sought after by hunters throughout all of Classic. So there it is, 10 or I suppose 12 items counting the honorable mentions that are insanely valuable in Classic WoW. If there's anything I want you to get from this video, it's this. Things are expensive, and there are lots of items of value in Classic WoW, and it's not just consumables. One thing that makes Classic such a remarkable game in my opinion is that it has all of these different items with different on-use effects, different procs, and different appearances. As well as certain items that certain classes actually need to be optimal, has to be obtained from world bosses or farmed for in the open world. It really adds to the variety of items in the game, and it makes the game feels bigger and more complex compared to a game like BFA, where pretty much all you have is items with main stat 1 and secondary stat 1 and 2. because they streamline everything for some reason. So there it is, that's the video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Leave some feedback down below, as I'm genuinely curious what you think about these types of videos compared to my regular gold making videos. One thing is for sure, and that's that I had a ton of fun making this video, so hopefully you enjoyed watching it as well. If you do want to help support my channel, or if you want a further insight into gold making, you can always check out my Patreon through the link in the description and consider supporting me over there. Massive thanks to all of my patrons. Your support allows me to spend more time to make content like this, so your support really means a lot. VIP level patrons can see their names on the screen right now, in a new format as well, so let me know what you think. That's it for now, I'll see you next time.